Okay, so today we're going to go over signaling, which is a microeconomics concept or theory or whatever you want to call it. I didn't decide to film because we're going to be looking over a very simple signaling question. And what really matters is the story. So the math is extremely easy. It's just understanding kind of what everything means here. So that's what I'll be going over. So there's a company with two different types of workers, worker alpha and worker beta. Worker alpha produces two output for the company, and beta produces one. The company wants to pay each worker relative to how much they're producing, okay? So they'd like to pay alpha 2 and they'd like to pay beta 1, but they can't tell the difference between the two. There's like an equal, I gotta stop doing that. There's an equal number and it's impossible to tell which worker is which. So the firm would like to know the difference between alpha and beta. And so what they'll do is the firm makes it so they can get a certain education, and it takes alpha 0.5K to get that education, and it takes beta a full K to get that education. And the education signals to the company which worker they are, okay? So if the worker gets the education, then the firm assumes that that worker is an alpha and will get paid 2. But if the worker does not get the education, then the worker is assumed to be a beta, so they get paid 1. I hope that's making sense so far. So here we have our two equations here. This is for alpha. So this is their payment if they got the education, less the effort it takes to get the education, has to be greater than the payment they receive if they did not signal that they were alpha, because the firm is going to believe they are a beta if they do not get the education. So you just isolate K, and then you figure out that K has to be less than 2. For beta, it's the same thing, where 2 is the signal, or 2 is the payment that they'd be receiving if they signaled that they had an education, which their education cost is K, or 1 full K. So it's 2 less K, has to be smaller or equal than 1. So there's no incentive to get the education, okay? And if that's the case, then K has to be greater or equal than 1, okay? So then your education, which is K hat, is greater or equal than 1 and less than 2. And that's how you signal. Basically, your job when you look at a signaling question is to find out the separating equilibrium, I believe is what it's called. I could be wrong, but it's separating something. And basically, you are trying to make it so that you can distinguish between two different either cars, like it could be like a high quality car and low quality car. It could be like a more productive worker and a or like a lower productive worker. So that's what signaling is about. It's signaling which group you belong to. It's a short video, but it's a very simple question, and we can do more complex signaling questions later. So I'm not too worried. Thank you for watching.